Gabe.
Quiet. Quiet.
Video got over 2 million likes on TikTok, and they still refuse to just simply pop the balloon. You have to reach out and let it bite you in order to get the superpower.
3 friends are alone at home when one friend decides to call their mom after something scary had occurred.
I should be home in about 10 minutes. I need you to stay calm though, okay?
Okay, alright.
So calm, quiet, keep the door locked. Alright, do not go out of the room whatsoever.
All 3 friends are locked up in this room, and for good reason. Earlier, they heard a loud crash from downstairs and other noises emanating from all over the house. They had thought someone had broken in, which is why the police were called.
Was it sound glass? Was it metal? What does it sound?
I think it was just like a big thud and then...
You heard it better.
Yeah.
Now this is where things start to get strange, because apparently, after searching the whole place, the police found no signs of forced entry or any clues to suggest that someone broke into the house. With no indications of any trespassers, the police leave the property. However, after watching the footage recorded by one of the friends, the teens noticed something very alarming. Before the police arrived, all 3 friends decided to investigate the noises and presumably take matters into their own hands if needed. But during this time, something happens that prompts the friend who lives in this house to grab his dog and pack his things. They were spooked, to say the least. This is what they caught.
Okay, it's fine, okay.
There, they can't go.
Okay.
Alright, I'll see you soon. I love you.
I love you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Apparently, one of the friends had noticed something moving in the dark. Although we don't see it on camera, something else is seen that none of the friends had noticed until watching this video much later. In case you missed it, this is what was caught. Eerily, something can be seen moving behind the railing. In a swift motion, this mysterious object passes by without making a sound. It almost seems to be floating, given how it seemingly glides. But by far, the creepiest thing about this is that a face can be made out. It's hard to see at first, but watching this again, certain features that a face would have can be seen briefly. Its uncanny motion and closeness to the ground have led the group to believe that a ghost was caught on camera. To them, it looks as though a floating head had passed by. If only they had seen this before the police arrived. As they state, who knows what they would have said about this. While the supposed shadowy figure they saw was enough to scare them, this would have definitely scared the living daylights out of them. Now, up until now, there haven't been any updates. But until then, Let me know your thoughts on this one.
I know he's so glad he had his friends spend the night. Sounded like he woke up the Balrogs.
Were messing around an ice wall when they accidentally captured something horrifying. A man named Tony Lopez was at the San Diego SeaWorld with his family, having fun in the wild Arctic attraction. As the family looked at the handprints left behind by the people using their body heat to melt the area, viewers noticed something wasn't right.
Your hand on there for a while, it'll start melting through the ice. Then, was there a horse in here? Oh no, somebody had their hand in here. You'd have to be here and have no life and no desire to do anything else, and just sit here and wait for it to melt like us.
Like something from a nightmare, as the man passed the camera to the left, what looks like a human eye can be seen, watching him from one of the holes. Now, this is probably some sort of trick of the mind due to the shape of the ice, but some viewers believe something or someone was watching the family. Real or not, the picture of having this random person's eye just sitting there is deeply unsettling, but like most videos, I'll let you decide.
It's definitely giving some evil eye energy.
High like a fly guy. I fly high like a magpie. I go high like a that guy.
To me, Justin Bieber having fun and singing with his friend doesn't classify as disturbing.
My girlfriends and I recently decided to start doing a group hike like once a month, just us girls. We stopped on the trail for about 5 minutes to get some content for social media. We were taking selfies, filming, laughing. We were having a great time, didn't think twice, and started to proceed on our trail. This is when my worst fear happened. As you can see, my girlfriend is filming, and I clearly stopped in my tracks and noticed this man come out of the bush. He looked a little disoriented. He's clearly he was not a hiker. He was in jeans, no water, no backpack. He has his hands in his pockets. I immediately think of the 𝐸𝐵𝐿 case, and I go into fight or flight. At this moment, my girlfriend stopped filming. You guys, I normally pack, and this day I decided not to, thinking I was safe with my 2 other girlfriends. Immediately I get that gut feeling as he's approaching us, and I start talking about how my girlfriend's husband is behind us and how there are men waiting for us, and immediately I take a 180 on the trail. As soon as I turn around, I see another man come out of the bush behind us. We continued talking about the men that were waiting for us, and calmly but quickly made it back to the car. We were followed by the hoodie guy, but we did make it back safely, thank Jesus.
Sounds like the gals need a Glock. If that was me, I'd scream like Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Australia has its version of the Skinwalker, and the Aboriginal people, they refer to it as a Mimi spirit. Some people have also called it the Mim light, and there's even a cryptid known as the Bunyam, which is said to be the shape-shifting being who lives in water. Now, it differs from the American version because it's a lot of times seen as a ball of light, an orb of light, and it often lures people deep into the bush. Now, this is a story that comes from Victoria along the Great Coastal Highway. This boy said that when he was younger, he lived near the Great Coastal Highway up against the bush. And he said when he was a young boy, he was in the backyard and he was playing alone. Well, his mom was inside the kitchen cooking dinner. And he said all of a sudden, he hears his mom's voice say, "Come inside, like right now." So he ran as fast as he can. He goes in the house and he comes in and he's, like, Mom, what do you want? What do you want? And his mom's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, you called me in. And she goes, I didn't call you in. Like, I've been inside here cooking dinner. And he goes, no, seriously, you just said my name and told me to come inside. And his mom's like, no, I did not. And he's like, please, Mom, just tell me, you know, you're joking with me because I heard your voice. Like, tell me to come inside. And finally she said, oh, maybe I did, to like comfort him. Later that night, he said he's in his bedroom and he was sleeping. And he said he woke up because he heard like this scratching sound. And he said it just kept getting louder and louder. And then he would hear kind of like a tapping sound. And he said he couldn't figure out where that sound was coming from. Like at first he thought maybe it was a possum, like because sometimes animals get in the house. But it just kept getting louder and louder. Finally, he realizes it's coming from the direction of his window. So he goes over to his window and he pulls over the curtains. And he said, standing outside of his window, like tapping on the window, was this very tall, pale white, man-looking creature with solid black eyes just staring at him. And he said he just kind of like started waving his hand towards the window. He starts screaming. His mom comes running in and is like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And he's like, there's something outside my window. There's something outside my window. His mom looks out the window. There's no one there. But he said his mom was a little freaked out because she seen like scratch marks on the windowsill. And she could tell something was trying to get in the window. So she told him, you're sleeping in my room tonight. Now, this next story comes from the outback. There were these two guys, and they said they were going on a camping trip. And they were driving deep through the outback, down this, you know, just sandy, windy road. And the one guy said as he was driving, he noticed something ahead up in the road. So he slowed the vehicle down, and as he got a little bit closer, he could see it was a dingo. And he said this dingo wasn't with a pack, it was alone, and it was just chilling by the side of the road, staring at their car. And he said he slowly drove past it, and it just kept eye contact with him. And he said something seemed like really off about this dingo. And so he continued on driving, and when he looked in his mirror, it was gone. Well, finally it started to get dark, and they arrived at their campsite. And he said, you know, there was just absolutely nothing around except for a few like rock formations. So they set up their tent for the night, and they make a big fire. He said they were sitting around the campfire, and they started to talk about that dingo that he had seen on the road. And he was like, you know, that was really weird, wasn't it? And he said right as they started to talk about it, all of a sudden, this Aboriginal man, like, came up onto their campsite. And they said he just slowly walked up to him and then stopped and, like, just stood still and was looking, like, off in the distance. They said he said something in Aborigines, and he pointed in a direction, and then he turned around and walked away. And so, like, him and his friend, they're just kind of like, you know, what just happened? Like, what was that all about? So they were a little freaked out, but they were like, maybe he just lives around here or something. So they go to bed for the night. They get in their tents. And they said they were awoken in the middle of the night to just this beautiful voice singing. And they were like, you know, it was unlike anything they'd ever heard. So they unzip the tent. They go outside. And they said off in the horizon, they could see this very bright ball of light, and it was glowing like, you know, almost like a metallic gray to a bluish color. And they said it was just sort of moving back and forth, up and down. And the one guy, he starts walking towards this light, and his buddy's like, no, don't go near it, don't go near it. And he's like, I have to see this thing. And he said his buddy, you know, got a little distance ahead of him, and all of a sudden this light flickered out, and he said at the same time his friend was gone. And, you know, he got back in the vehicle, he left, and he traveled all the way back to the nearest town, like reported his friend missing. They searched for weeks, could not find this guy. And still to this day, they have not found this person. Now, this last story, it also comes from Southeast Australia. And there were these two friends who said that they went hiking in the bush. And they stumbled upon like this beautiful watering hole. So they were going to go swimming. Well, one of the guys says, you know, I need to go somewhere off here and find like a place to use the bathroom. So the other guy just kind of stood there by the watering hole. And he said all of a sudden he sees this beautiful woman with no clothes in the water. And he said she was just kind of twirling her hair. And she was looking at him and smiling and like waving. And he said all of a sudden she started like waving for him to come to the water. And he didn't know why, but he said he felt like entranced. He started walking towards the water. He gets within about 3 steps of the water. And he said all of a sudden his friend yells at him, "Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? Get away from the water." And he said that's when he turned around and looked. And he said what was this beautiful woman was now this very large black looking fish type thing with, you know, arms. And this thing just had its mouth open, sticking out of the water. And he said all of a sudden it just submerged itself and disappeared into the watering hole. And so him and his friend were like, we're out of here. And they took off. So what do you think? Have you ever experienced something strange in Australia?
We have definitely covered a few stories about the Mimi lights on this channel.
Back in like the 1990s and early 2000s, you know Channel 5?
Yeah.
It was very popular in Mexico. It was like the Mexican Channel 5. They had a section where they did something called service to the community, and they would put a bunch of pictures of missing people, and they put a picture of Selene Delgado. And you've probably seen the picture before, and it turns out that it was a fake, like it was a hoax. She's not a missing person. Maybe she's a real person, but she's not missing. So people searched up in the records of missing people, and she was not on there. So they don't know why they put her on there, but it's weird because they put her normal picture, and after a while, her picture looked different. It was that picture, that exact picture on top of her face.
And that's happening on the news?
Yeah, they faked that. I don't know why they faked that. I think they were trying to scare people. But the weird thing is that picture is linked to something else. It's basically linked to Derek Todd Lee, also known as the Baton Rouge serial killer, was an American serial killer between 1992 and 2003. Let's say a cop asks you, you're a witness, and a cop asks you, what did the person look like? Can you describe the suspect? Then a guy comes in, he sketches this out, and that was the sketch of Derek Todd Lee.
That's how he looked?
That's how they described him, as how he looked.
Everyone watching this right now better hit that subscribe and notification bell, or you do claim all of this negative energy.
Plain lady.
Those people aren't real?
Yeah. No one's been able to track her down, right?
No.
She just popped up this past week on TMZ.
It's basically her just saying, I apologize, I shouldn't have done that. When I saw it, I was like, that doesn't look like her. We didn't know who she was for the first couple weeks. Like, they couldn't even find a name or anything. She started a new Twitter account when she posted this video. The first person she followed was TMZ. So people started doing like some AI face detection. There's this guy that does it online professionally, and he says you get a score of 0.6 or below, it is the same person. He put the videos that were on the plane, videos that were outside the plane of the real Tiffany.
And it's not her.
1.2. Guys, like, I was not expecting this. I was like, actually,
Wow.
like, this makes me really interested.
Wow.
Then one other dude goes on and checks her IP address that she sent out from the video.
Okay.
Guess where it tracked to?
TMZ headquarters.
Texas. 2 away from the White House in Washington, D.C.
Stop it
I-
right now!
So did she see something, and then they put in a double to be like, this was so embarrassing.
Weird. You know what?
What do you guys think? Was the airplane lady for real? Let me know in the comments.
What do the dolphins know? I'd like to remind you that the government told us that the aliens are living in the ocean, and they also told us it's illegal to try and interact with a wild dolphin. And I mean interact in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Don't try and talk to it. Don't try and elicit a response from it. Don't feed it. Don't touch it. Don't nothing. Don't even look at that bitch. Now, they say this is to protect dolphins and humans alike, and I'll buy that because they're wild animals, okay? But why can't I even try to speak to it? Why can't I even just try to elicit out of it? I don't know how dolphins sound. The fuck, they don't understand me and I don't understand them, right? Right? It is a felony to even attempt this behavior. There's even a snitch line for it. Dolphins are too smart. They are self-aware. They have shown signs of empathy because they'll help out other creatures, including human beings. They can communicate amongst themselves in a language that we don't understand at all. It's the clicks and the, you know what I'm saying, those high-pitched noises. Some of them our ears can't even pick up on. They are the second smartest creature on Earth behind us. Do they have a conscience? They live in an environment that we haven't explored 80% of. We don't know 80% of what's down there in that ocean, but you know who does? Dolphins. And we are not allowed to talk to them. I'd like to know why that's a felony.
Look into dolphin-assisted births. POV, your dad just farted.
To avoid this trail, this is where I was first fucked by Bigfoot. Right here is where he bit me over first time on this poplar there. Basically, when my pants are around my ankles, it sounded...
Last time I watched that, I had my phone at full volume. RIP to me.
Whoa, whoo, 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 whoa, whoo, whoo, whoo.